This is obviously a black swan. Don't be confused. I know you're Albanian. This is not a black eagle. This is a black swan among white swans. I don't think we're talking about racism here. We're talking about people who don't fit in, and our collective idea that because someone doesn't fit in, there must be something wrong with them. And I think we need to all understand that that is not the case. This is a picture of the Jonestown Massacre in 1979, which is a subject of the subsequent screen here. It's mentioned briefly in your book, Jonestown Massacre. Oh, this is one of these annoying screens. Let me get everything up here. Okay, so Jonestown Massacre, a whole bunch of people, I think 400 and some, it might be more than that, both committed collective suicide and also were poisoned by their particular religious leaders, who then went on to commit suicide themselves. They were mostly from the San Francisco area. They were from all around the world, but they were mostly from Central California. It was what we call a religious cult. So we'll just talk about this in terms of cults. Cult leader, Reverend Jones, attracted people who had self-destructive tendencies. That's a possibility as a reason for the massacre. They call it a massacre. It was a massacre and collective suicide, but this is the shorthand for what it's called. Only people who are weak and easily led join cults. That would be true for some people. Jones, the cult leader, was such a powerful figure that virtually anyone would have succumbed to his influence. That would have been true to some people. People cut off from society are particularly vulnerable to social influence. That's definitely true of some people. All of the above, none of the above. How do you determine which is correct? The important thing to remember here, which one is correct, which is possibly all of them or none of them, they would be different. The answer would be different for each person who was killed as a result of the massacre, and they would be different for each observer of the people in that massacre, or each person who's studying the massacre. It's an important thing to remember that as you consider these questions, there's influences acting on you, including the thing to be able to predict how you would have reacted to that situation, and you don't know that until you've been there. So, research methods, how we do social psychology. We have a few more screens on this coming up, and that'll be the end of our presentation. Again, this is an introductory unit, so these will be things we'll be developing throughout the course. We form and test hypotheses. We first create a theory, which is an integrated set of principles that explain and predict observed events. And from that, we develop a hypothesis or hypotheses, which are testable propositions that describe a relationship that may exist between events. Where we do these things, forming and testing hypotheses, we need a location, we need a where, and that's either going to be in a laboratory or in the field. A laboratory is a controlled environment. We determine how many people are here, what the temperature is, what everyone's wearing, all of those things. The field is everyday life, everyday situations. Forming and testing hypotheses. The method is either correlational or experimental. Correlational is naturally occurring relationships among variables. When it rains, the lights go out. We're not sure what causes one or the other. Experimental, we seek clues to a cause and effect relationship by manipulating one or more variables. When it rains, sometimes the lights go out, but the lights go out sometimes when it's not raining. Obviously, we need to experiment to find out why that is. Correlational research, detecting natural associations. Correlation and causation allows us to predict, but not tell whether changing one variable will cause changes in another. The example here is, did pet ownership affect the 2008 presidential campaign? I have no idea what this question's doing here, but I do know that either right before or right after he was elected president, Barack Obama was buying a dog for his daughters. And his daughters have allergies, and he had to decide whether to buy a Labradoodle or a Portuguese water dog. I don't know why I remember these things. Maybe that happened before the presidential election. I know it happened somewhere in there. That's the only reason I can think this question is here. I don't remember what kind of dog he bought. I believe it was a Portuguese water dog. A Labradoodle is a crossbreed between a Labrador and a Poodle. Neither one of them shed hair, so they're a lot easier on people who are allergic to animals. Learned something today. Correlational research detecting natural associations. We do this through surveys. Surveys can be a random sample versus an unrepresentative sample. Random sample should be a cross-section of a population. Unrepresentative sample would be, for example, just male students at this school. It's not representative of our total population. The order you put the questions in, you can control or you can influence how people respond to a multiple choice questionnaire just by the order you put the questions in. You can also influence a public opinion poll or something like that by the response options. Is this a yes or no question? Is it a shades of gray, strongly agree, all the way over to strongly disagree? That's going to influence the response of, or the results of an opinion poll or a research question. And the wording of questions, do you frame them positively or negatively in terms of the wording to make it sound like the same answer is a good thing or a bad thing? And finishing up today, experimental research, searching for cause and effect. We have a control that manipulates variables. You are the controlling person as the experimenter. An independent variable is an experimental factor that a researcher manipulates. A dependent variable is the thing being measured, and it depends on manipulations of the independent variable. So that gets us through chapter 1 of social psychology. Prepare questions for your lecturer, and I will see you again very soon. Thank you very much.